Thanks everyone for joining us today for today's food talk. I'm very excited to introduce Stefanie Bundalo. She is the creator, founder, maker, creator of Sarcastic Cooking blog. So before we jump into all of this mise en place and what's ready to go here and some deliciousness that Stefanie's going to prepare for you, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and where you've come from and where you are today?
Well, let's see. I've been blogging for, I think it's now almost 8 years. And I had worked behind the scenes in the food industry. I was a health inspector. I went to school for environmental health and public safety, so I got to see and be in all the cool little restaurants and mom and pop kind of places. And I was like, well, I want to be on the other side and not getting them in trouble. So I switched courses. After much talk and deliberation with my husband, we kind of like, hey, we can wing this, let's see what happens. So I started the blog, and it just kind of became a full-time job now. And then the book came about. I swear I thought it was a spam email. The publisher sent me an email saying, we really love your writing voice and we'd really like to do a book with you. Do you have any ideas? I was like, no. Like, let it sit there for a few days, and then I responded back to them, and I was like, well, I better just check. It's kind of my end game with the blog, and they were like, oh yeah, don't worry. A lot of people actually say they think it's spam. So, and then we just kind of started brainstorming, and Instant Pot's so popular still, shockingly. Like I thought it would be, like I held out on it for a while. I thought it would be a quick phase, like most, kind of like trendy diets and stuff like that. Yes, so it stuck around, and once I started using it and I incorporated that into the concept for the book about like, you don't need a whole day for meal prep, you just need to carve out like 10-15 minutes and you can end up with something you can reuse, like leftovers the next day or turn it into another thing a few days later.
Cool. So what's like the core theme of the blog? So like when you mentioned your writing voice there, I've read like a lot of the different passages on it, and like you have your own like quirky sense of style there. Like tell us a bit about that.
I just tried. My husband is an English teacher, so he's the editor for my website, and I'm the worst with grammar, so he has a field day with everything I'm saying because he just rips it apart. But I always write like I talk. Like if you talk to me in real life, I try to make that come across in my writing. And I think that for me, that's been the hardest part, is sticking with the writing voice and while also having good grammar. And everyone wants instead of a passive writing voice, you have to have an active voice. So that was, I was like, what does that mean? But I switched a little bit. So I gave them a little bit of what they wanted.
And out of interest, like I know you get comments and stuff there and feedback, and like does your voice change when you reply to some of those comments?
If you get a really negative comment, sometimes, it's hard to hold back a little bit of that, like, oh, tell me what you really think. But
and they do, I'm sure.
Yes, they do. It's just kind of, you have to see where they're coming from when you're responding to things, because most often it's over like a changed ingredient or something, and it was like, well, that wasn't in my original recipe, but like, let's talk through it. You could try this or that next time instead. And, most often people just want to be heard. So that's all it is when you're answering comments.
Yeah, and people like interpret recipes differently as well.
Yes.
I know I'm definitely like, I'm not so sure if it's a fan or a victim of doing that. Tell us a little bit about Instant Pot and like what drew you to like, do basically like a whole book almost about like Instant Pot recipes, and for anyone that doesn't know, like tell them a little bit about what it does.
It does everything. So every Monday I do like a big batch of hard-boiled eggs. You can do soft-boiled, you can get any kind you really want. And you can steam them, you can do high pressure. I never am able to cook rice, so I just do a big batch of rice in here, and it's foolproof. Like I just don't touch it, just leave it alone. I think that's the hardest part, is you can't see what's going on inside. So like you have no idea where the cooking process is taking you. But there are a lot of things. The slow cooker function is still really good. I know you don't want like another big clunky device in your house, but I switched over to this and used the slow cooker. You can steam vegetables, fish. I just really wanted to make the book something that was where you looked at it and you were like, you can make this in an Instant Pot, because I had always wanted to write a cookbook, and I wanted to stay true to the kind of cookbook that I wanted to write and the kind of, like carb heavy recipes that I wanted to make all the time. So that's what I did.
So tell us, the cookbook came out in April, and we are featuring 2 dishes from it today.
Yes.
So what are we preparing today?
So,
Sorry, I say we, it's you.
It's easy. It's just about a lot of putting stuff in and sealing a lid. Anyone can do it. So today it's my drunken chicken tortilla soup, and the big time saver here is using the canned red enchilada sauce, or you can even, if you make your own enchilada sauce, use that, and then you get all that good like spice level. You don't have to use dry chilies or anything like that. So should I get
why don't
going?
you kick off?
All right. First we have, so you're gonna add in about 1 diced yellow onion. And again, in the notes in the book, I know a lot of people are sensitive to like spice levels, so you can alter it, add something else, leave something else out. It's totally up to your preferences, because this one does have a little kick. So you normally use diced green chilies, the small can, I think it's like 4 ounces, but they gave me their own poblano peppers that they made back there. So I was like, ooh, this is gonna make it better. So you would put in about 4 ounces. And then we have a can of the fire roasted diced tomatoes. It gives you that good smoky flavor.
So I'm liking this, like just
it really is.
Everything in.
It's really nice for
Now you're talking.
for like one night where you just don't want this. I mean, with this soup you can cook it high pressure for 10 minutes and it's done. You just take out your chicken, it's shredded, it's good to go. The only thing is sometimes waiting for it to come to pressure might be a little bit hit or miss, like it's different. Okay, so then we have lime, the juice of 1 lime, your red enchilada sauce, and again, you can do mild, medium, hot, whatever you'd like. And then we have whatever your favorite Mexican beer. You can even use a dark beer if you'd like. It's still good. And that goes in.
Seems so wasteful to use it in.
I know, but it's really good because the lime in the beer, since it doesn't really like cook for that long, you still get a little bit of that flavor. Like I wanted to make something that was a little bit like a beer and a lime on a summer day, except in Chicago it's always winter, so it's good for that. We have a little bit of black pepper and oregano, and then ground cumin, and about 1 to 2 cloves of garlic, whatever you'd prefer, and then a little bit of chili powder just to round out that spice, and some salt, and then we have a can of 28 ounce can of hominy drained and rinsed.
What are they, sorry?
Hominy. So it's kind of like funky corn. Like it's a little bit fermented. It gives a little bit more, instead of doing like corn, black beans, red peppers like you would normally do, just add that. It gives it a lot of body. And it's really good. Nice. It's a good switch to the traditional. And then And then lastly, we have our 2 chicken breasts. Oh boy, there we go. And then just gonna give it a little bit of a mix here and get the chicken submerged, and then you seal it up.
And that's it.
And that's it. And then you can do 6 hours on low for slow cooker, or you can do 12,
like
6 hours on high 12 on low for the slow cooker setting. And you can even do that in your regular crock pot if you don't have one of these yet. So
what are we cooking this?
So you're doing pressure. You're going to put pressure cook and then look to see where the light is, and it should be under the high pressure. And then, oops, we're going to, oh my gosh, turn it down to 10. So 10 minutes, and then make sure that your steam vent is sealed. And then that one just takes care of itself. You just have to shred the chicken later and then return it back to the pot. And I like to top it with, you know, like tortilla strips, or even my husband's done Doritos before. So it's whatever you want on top, you can add.
So in 10 minutes this is going to be ready?
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm loving this because I'm like that total type of person, but if somebody could come and do this for me every night at home.
Yeah, I know, that's the thing, is that I sat there with a timer and I really made sure that 15 minutes or less, like you can really do this in 15 minutes or less, each recipe. And that includes like the hands-on, if there's searing or sauteing in the directions, that's included in the 15 minutes.
Right, that was my question about like how much prep time do I need to do to get to this point? So this takes some of the pain out of the long time wait for dinner. Okay, so everything is like 15 minutes or less? Cool, all right, nice. So before we move on to the next one, let's talk a little about, you were a vegetarian for how many years?
10, I think. I started in high school and then went through most of college.
So what made you choose vegetarianism, and then what made you move away from vegetarianism?
You know, it really wasn't anything like a big statement or anything like that. I just, in, I think, grade school, high school, I was just done with what my mom was making for dinner. She doesn't like this story, but we had like chicken patties for like 3 nights a week, and I was just like, I know I have a picky brother, like he's a really picky eater, so I get it now because I have 2, so I'm now punished with the chicken nugget tender debacle every night. But I was just like, I'm sick of this. I don't want to eat this anymore. So I would just make salads and noodles and all that kind of stuff. And my mom said, well, fine, make it yourself then. So,
We had the same in my house. My dad was a fan of sausages and mashed potatoes every night.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm Irish, so that was a very traditional dish. But, you know, you could forgive him if the mashed potatoes didn't have, like, not lumps, but clumps every night. So it was not a refined dinner. So with the kids at home, how do the kids react to it? Like, I know you put in, like, the poblano peppers and all there. Like, what's...
Yeah, there are definitely some that are not, like, I don't know why they don't like soups or mashed potatoes. They're very strange. I don't understand this. But they're slowly starting to do the noodle. They'll try like a new noodle. We're doing like a one bite kind of thing. Like, you have to try it at least. It's here, try it. And so they're slowly, there's a ramen recipe in there with mushrooms that my 5-year-old will eat, but he won't. Like, you'll have to kind of like take out some of the stuff so he can tell what everything is. Otherwise, it's like, what's in here? I don't understand.
Right.
I'm not going to put this in my mouth.
So who does the guinea pigging? Is it the husband? Is it the kids?
The husband, and then my brother, who's a butcher. He would he would take a lot of the stuff. It's like, take this, try it, and he did not hold back with his critique of all the different recipes, because he's been out of college. He was straight in food service for most of his working life.
All right.
Yeah,
So he knows a thing or two. Then.
Yes.
All right. So I know normally if I try a recipe at home, it takes me, I'm going to say 2 to 3 times, sometimes up to 10. By then I've definitely given up and opened a bottle of wine. But like, tell us about your recipe iteration process, particularly geared towards the book. Like, how many times do you trial and tweak and then iterate and move on?
Each recipe in the book that made it to the final book was tested 2 to 3 times.
Okay.
And by me, and then also by, like, I had some other people test as well, because I was like, well, I found this one part funky. Like, let me know if you find that weird, or is there too much liquid? So I did that, and there were definitely a bunch of fails along the way. Like, I don't know why I thought you could do pizza rolls in an Instant Pot. I was like, well, we have so many different recipes. Let's try this. And it was just like a pile of gloop.
So what's a pizza roll?
Oh, so, what?
This might be a cultural thing, I'm not sure, but I've never heard of it.
Well, there are like the frozen Totino's pizza rolls,
right.
But that's not, no. This I would try to do, like, think of like a cinnamon roll, but with like pizza, like a Cinnabon kind of thing
Okay.
but with, like cheese, sauce, pepperoni kind of like rolled up together. And then it didn't work because it doesn't bake it. It
Right.
just
So it's
steams
not-
it, and it's awful.
So it's like a steamed bun?
Not even.
No,
it's
not even that good?
edible at
Somebody
all.
told me they made a cheesecake, though, recently.
Yes.
So, big cheesecake fan.
Uh-huh.
Should I do it? Should I not do it? I mean, I shouldn't do it.
It's easier than in your oven because it stays like there's the water at the bottom, and that keeps recirculating around the cake or around the cheesecake and keeps it super moist and like instead of in your oven. I know when I do cheesecake in my oven, you have to let the cheesecake cool down completely inside the oven, and then you have to have a water bath underneath it so it doesn't crack. It's just way more complicated that way, and in here it is easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll consider it. So what are we moving on to next?
Okay, so next is kind of like it's a vegetable lo mein, but it's kind of a cheater lo mein since I use spaghetti noodles because I had tried to attempt some soba noodles and other things in here, and it just did not work for me. Some gluten-free noodles as well kind of like fall apart. So this is the cheater version.
So are there some things, like when you're talking about noodles and spaghetti, there are some things that, why is it that they don't work? Is it like a
I think that if you're using like the super starchy, just, basic noodles, they'll hold up to that. But the gluten-free noodles are a little bit more complicated because the ingredients, and then you need that cooling down right away. For some noodles, you have to rinse them in cold water so they just stop cooking. But in here, you have to wait for the pressure to release, and then that whole time it's just overcooking them, and it doesn't work.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Good to know. All right.
Okay, so for this, we start with, you can use spaghetti noodles, linguine noodles, any kind of straight long pasta you would like. And then I always break them in half to fit inside the pot. Otherwise, that's just not gonna work. So I don't think I'm strong enough to crack all those. Let's do. So, and then you kind of, I don't know if I could show you this, but you kind of have to like arrange them in different directions so they don't get all stuck together at the end. Like sometimes you'll open it and you'll see like, oh no, they're stuck. But they keep cooking and absorb the liquid when it's done. So they won't stick together if you do it this way.
So you're kind of like building
Yeah, you're kind of doing a
almost.
nest. Yeah,
Okay.
you just kind of switch directions with each layer. Okay, so then on top of that, we do our one sliced red bell pepper, orange, yellow, whatever you have. And then I did fresh green beans, and you put those on top. Because what happens is the liquid's going to cook the noodles at the bottom and kind of like steam the vegetables that are on top, so it's not going to get too overcooked. And then on top of that, we're going to do, I think it's 1.5 cups of vegetable stock. And then we do some, let me get a spoon. We have some fresh minced ginger and garlic. I always use garlic.
Yes. The more the better.
Yes. And then we have a little bit of chili sauce or chili garlic sauce, whatever you would like. Extra garlic is all right. And you can put as much or as little of that as you need, as you would like. There's red wine vinegar for a little bit of acidity, soy sauce, and Worcestershire, however you say that.
Yeah, that one always gets me. Worcestershire.
And a little bit of salt and pepper. And then this one is done, and then that's it. And then at the end, you're going to mix in your spinach, bok choy, and cabbage. And you can add in whatever extra greens you'd like, just because while the noodles are still cooling down and absorbing all that extra liquid, that will sort of slightly wilt. And it doesn't need to go through the whole cooking process. It will be not good at the end.
Dilly. So how long does this one take?
So this one's 7 minutes.
7 minutes. Okay. Wow, I'm seeing a lot of very quick dinners in my future, so. So we're good on that?
Yes.
Cool. And so, like, it's going to ring alarms. It's going to wake me up whenever both are ready. I don't have to worry about burning down the house.
No,
okay.
you don't.
Cool. So you have a lot of different genres in the book, and even like from these two dishes today, they're quite different. Do you have a particular like favorite style, or?
During the week, I kind of do. The easiest way for me to plan out what we're eating for the week is like we'll do a pasta dish, like an Italian day, and then we'll do Taco Tuesday, and then we'll have, or that's like, burrito bowls or whatever, kind of just throw stuff together. And then we'll do some kind of fried rice, something like that. And then by the time I get to Thursday, it's like, okay, what kind of leftovers do we have? What's quick? Let's make sandwiches or BLTs or something like that. So I kind of always, a little bit of everything. I think I've been doing more, I always do Italian and Mexican. Those are like the ones I probably do the most.
They're the staples.
Yes,
Okay. I like that you've got like a themed like dinner plan for the week. So I'm kind of like, I go home and see what's there.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I liked about the book is that you have a great like empty the fridge shakshuka. So I know like anytime we ask an author like, what's your favorite recipe? They're like, oh, I can't choose one, but choose one. Like what is do you have a favorite that you would either highly recommend, like that's the first and the best you have to try?
I really like the carnitas that I did in there.
Okay.
Just because I was always used to doing slow cook, like 12 hours, get a good crust on it, and then take the fat out, whatever, shred it, and you have all that flavor around. But this way it was like an hour, and it was still that same kind of slow cook taste and crust. And that's now our every other week, kind of make a big batch of that and then freeze it, and then eat some later, like pull it out of the freezer and make it again the next week.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so anything you make in the Instant Pot, is it suitable for freezing as well? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know the cold fighting chicken noodle soup, I've actually done, just put the ingredients all in like a freezer bag and then given it to moms that have had babies or, so then they just take it out, dump it in, and it's good to go.
You're a great friend, Todd. Good to know. And so we get a lot of questions about meal prep, and we have, the questions vary from like, how should I do it? Where should I start? What are the best tips? What would you recommend in terms of setting yourself up to have a healthy food week where you're going to cook as much as possible at home? How do you do it with a family?
We kind of go back and forth on this every week. It's like some weeks are good, some are not so much. Like some we did a little more ordering out at restaurants than usual. But I like to, like I said, stick with like, okay, well, I know tonight we're going to do this. Tonight we're going to do frozen food. We're going to clean out the freezer. We're going to do our Mexican night, Italian. We'll do, like stick with that. And then I always, once Sunday comes around, I always am like, okay, I'm going to prep all the things today. And then it's never happens or very rarely happens. So I do like the hard-boiled eggs for the week. That's breakfast. And then if you do the rice or a meat, that's, I make burrito bowls, I do tacos, and then turn the leftovers into like a mixed up fried rice. So that's kind of use it, cook once, and then use it twice,
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know I have these great ambitions of a Sunday I'll go to the store and I come back with like table-wide amount of groceries, and then on a Wednesday I start to feel guilty and I'm like, I should really start to prep this food.
Yes.
Because I hate that notion of like this food could potentially go to waste.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how you incorporate, do you get a lot of questions about eating healthy, or people on the blog asking questions as to like how to better support their health with recipes?
Yes.
And what do they ask?
Let's see. some people lately, I told you I've been asking about the keto diet and how do you make this, that, and just like, I'm not a dietitian. I don't really know, but I have a lot of recipes where you just don't use noodles. I have veggie noodles instead, and some of the pasta dishes you can make like the sauce and then just throw in your veggie noodles at the end.
Right.
So you don't end up with soggy noodles, But I think that if you do a little bit of planning, even if it's just for that day, like at the start of the day, all right, what am I eating for dinner tonight? Like just have that thought come into your mind and you can kind of make it a reality by the end of the day. I mean, you can look at your phone for 10 minutes. You could cook dinner for the same,
Well, you've just shown me how.
Yeah.
So did you take did healthfulness come with recipe creation for the book? Did that come into play a lot when you were actually writing out the book?
I just wanted to make sure there were a lot of different varieties. Like, don't be too heavy on meat. Don't be too heavy on carbs. I mean, there is a whole little noodle chapter, but I tried to balance it out by, making soups that didn't have noodles, or the sauces that most of the sauces and bases, the thickening agents are not flour. So some are gluten-free. I tried to just keep every kind of diet in mind when I was making it, just to make sure there was a little bit of something for everyone.
So some of those recipes are what we would call free from that, or can they be, is there a replacement or substitute that you can incorporate?
For what?
So for example, if you have, if you're intolerant towards gluten or shellfish or something,
Yeah, I mean, let's see. There are some shellfish recipes, but that's the main dish.
Obviously,
So clearly you would just skip
You're
that
not going to tuck into a bowl.
Yeah. But you can use, like I was saying, throw in the vegetable noodles later. Extra, I do, instead of pasta, sometimes just extra spinach, and then it's kind of
bulks it up a bit more.
Yeah. Add in more greens when you can,
Nice. Yeah, always go for the veggies. So how are we looking on these two then? So they don't make
they are
noise. I'm very I'm used to something bubbling over, alarming me.
They have not come to pressure yet, so that's what is kind of annoying me right now.
So how long would it normally take?
Normally at my when I'm cooking at home, these guys come to pressure in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So I
can hear some bubbling
it's
and
almost
stuff going
there.
on now.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So the little float valves will come up to the top when the pressure is completely filled inside. And it's not, I know when I thought of pressure cooker in the beginning, I was thinking of Top Chef, where, the things are always exploding everywhere, and this is not like that. So
yeah, I always think
safer,
of the one my mom had at home when I was growing up that would rattle and shake basically off. You'd think it was come off
rocket
you,
through the ceiling.
Yeah. So, and I always thought she was crazy. I'm like, what have you got in there, So tell us a little bit about the blog. So one thing I know, I'll always go back to food blogs or websites for photography and imagery because I eat with my eyes. And I will sometimes just sit there and leer at the screen. Do you do all your own photography? How does that work? Is it time consuming? I'm really interested in that.
I do my own. I did all the photography for the book, all the writing, everything was me. So it's in the beginning when I started 7 years ago, it was not good. Photography is kind of now expected with food websites. You need to have your photography on point. So like you said, people look at it and they're not okay, that sounds good, but that looks awful. You need to make it look like you're actually eating it. You're in the picture. There's your knife and fork, and here's your drink to go with it, and all the little garnishes and stuff that you can add in. All that stuff is important, and I've been learning so much along the way. It's a really good, most of the food bloggers out there that have been doing it as long as me or longer are always willing to answer questions. It's competitive, but not that competitive. Everyone wants to get views and wants to do a cookbook and wants to get their site out there. But at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing. So if someone has extra knowledge, I'll always share, and most people have always shared with me too.
So did you like start off with, I don't know, like the first camera on a Nokia 3210 and like, you know, move along up to...
Yes, and then there was, when my oldest son was born, he was, I think, like 2, and he pulled down on the camera strap and the whole body of the camera fell. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, okay.
Calm,
like,
mommy.
Calm down. He didn't know what he was doing. But yeah, so after that, we kind of upped to the game a little bit on the camera.
Good thinking, good thinking. So tell us a bit about the blog. Like, how did you, I guess, what made you first, like, you moved from that 9 to 5, from being, we love food health inspectors, by the way, they keep us honest. But what attracted you, I think, like, to the blogging piece? How much of a challenge was that going from, like, the 9 to 5 to being self-employed, really?
Yeah, I mean, that was before I even had kids, so it was just like all day I was cooking and I was shooting and trying to make stuff look nice, and I did like, I wrote like, it was like 2,000 words. I was like, why, now looking back, I'm like, that was like one of my first blog posts. I'm like, no one's gonna read that. No, not even back then, no. So you kind of find your rhythm, and then, it was fun. I just really liked being on my feet all day and kind of like, okay, this is over here, this one's done, let's try this one next, and just creating and doing something in the creative field after I had gone from, you know, like an office job to the health inspector, to the catering manager. Like I was like, this is nice. I just get to be my own boss. Yeah,
Nice.
But it definitely has challenges because then you're in charge of your own time.
Yeah.
So
if somebody was to say to you, like, hey, I'm going to start a blog, like, what advice would you be like, do not do it? What advice would you give them?
I would, because I had done it for probably like 6 months to a year, kind of between that, before I went full-time into it.
Okay.
So it's kind of like,
So you dipped your toe.
yeah, dabble in it a little bit, get a feel for it, start talking to people, start looking at, like, I find myself, like, the more I take in that isn't even food related, like, oh, I like those colors together, I like this. Like, you get ideas from everywhere that can inspire what you put together on the blog, build your own aesthetic kind of thing.
And so when you talk about, like, idea generation, where do you get all your culinary ideas from? Is it just like trial and error? Is it stuff that you like? Is it throwing a bit of everything into a pot and hoping for the best?
Like this recipe was like at 5 o'clock during one of the recipe testing days, and I was like, oh, I just got all this stuff like left over. I didn't, the one recipe, the like soba noodle recipe didn't work out. Let me just try this. And then I was like, oh, hey, that's really good. So then I did it again, and then I made it for my family, and they were like, oh, okay, I like this. So it comes from everywhere, really, you know. I mean, I like will take pictures of restaurant menus and like, I like that combination, I like that, what can I do with this? Yeah, it's just, you know, but clearly if you borrow someone else, or if you're using someone else's recipe, you give them due credit. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's only fair, definitely. So, how are we doing on this? Sorry.
Yeah, let's see.
We're good. I'm just so worried that it's so quiet. I think I'd forget about it, but it's going to beep and tell us we're all
it will
good.
tell us it's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll get to do the hot steam facial treatment together.
Oh, lovely. Just perfect. So the book, is there another book? Have you got like a bank of thousands of recipes? Like, how did you whittle it down to the fine ones that got chosen for?
Well, this one I knew from the start I had to come up with 75, and I did do a chapter on staples. So there's like a easy tomato sauce, tomato garlic sauce. There's some seasoning blends, like an easy shredded chicken, jammy eggs.
What are jammy eggs?
So
it's
kind of like in between soft boiled and hard boiled. So like you still get a little bit of a runny yolk, kind of like it's in between.
We call that a gookie egg.
A gookie?
Yeah. So we used to, when I was growing up, if you had a gookie egg, it was kind of like that, like an egg that you weren't sure what level of boil it had gone through.
Yes.
And it would be dunked in a cup or a mug, and like a knob of Irish butter would be put in, and some salt and pepper, and that was it. That was your breakfast. Or a snack or whatever.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, gookie egg. I've said that to a few people, and they're like, okay.
I like that.
Some cultural things there. So back to the book, what happens next then? Are you like just coming off the crest of this one? Do you have another 3 planned?
There is a second Instant Pot. It's the Big Book of Instant Pot recipes, and that's with 3 other authors that they specialize in more of, gluten-free, vegetarian, and what else? I think there might be a little bit of like Whole30 low carb in there as well. So it kind of rounds out all the basic diet needs.
And you collaborated
I collaborated
on that
with them. Each of us contributed 60 recipes. So to turn around after this and then do that, I was a little bit like, I need a break from you, Instant Pot. We're going to take a little time out.
Until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow, yeah. And then,
sorry, go ahead.
But every week comes and I'm like, okay, I need you. I'm sorry, we're doing chicken, we're doing shredded chicken, we're doing rice, like, okay, we're doing eggs. So there's always a need for it, for me at least, every week.
Right. So end to end, how long did the book process take from getting that initial weird spam-like email to like actually being on the shelf?
It was a little bit over a year. So
Okay.
it was kind of like, okay, we're going back and forth on concept for a while.
Yeah.
And then once everything was signed, it was like, go, go, go. Like, do your job to get your stuff done.
Nice. Okay. Is that a good beep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's done.
Can we open? Can we see?
Yes. So this is, I'm sure you guys, if you have an Instant Pot, you know about this. But I always put this on top because I had a sleeping, napping child, and I didn't want this loud noise, like waking them up. So
is there a mom silent mode?
no, there isn't. My kids will come up and be like, that's so loud. Okay, so you hit cancel, and then you flip the valve carefully. So that will happen, and then you just kind of like, okay, it's good. It's not shooting stuff everywhere all over my cabinets.
So that's what I remember from when I was young. But that would go on for
release.
hours. Like,
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this will release. The float valve will
Some
fall
good
back
smells.
down. And then we'll take the lid off, and then we'll mix in the spinach, cabbage, and the bok choy.
Okay. And don't worry, we do have tasters and samples afterwards, so you will actually get to try some of this. But does anybody have any questions for Stefanie while she's here about Instant Pot? Oh, straight up at the back.
I have a few.
Yeah.
So I'm a beginner.
Okay.
I call it an Insta-pot.
Yeah. There's a T. Yes.
So is it Instant Pot?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Instant Pot.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah. So when I was using it for the first time, I got a burn message, and I looked in the manual, and I couldn't find it anywhere.
Okay, so just take the lid off. Don't freak out. Like hit cancel, release pressure, and take the lid off. And that just means you kind of like need to stir, and add maybe a little bit more liquid.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
don't have to like stop the cooking
No,
process.
and
Okay.
and like even during that, it was cooking. So sometimes if I've gotten that, I've done like it lowered the cooking time by a minute or two just to kind of like compensate for the time it was already in there. But don't freak out. Just like you just have to scrape kind of the bottom clean, and then it should be okay.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then are you able, I tried to switch it from saute to another setting without turning it off, and I couldn't switch the
Yeah, you have to
buttons.
hit, at least
Or
with this
cancel
one,
it.
yeah, you have to hit cancel in
Got it.
between. So it
Okay.
still stays hot, like that heating element in there will still be really hot. So just hit cancel and then go to whatever other setting you were gonna go to, and it should be okay.
Perfect, thank you.
No problem.
So you can switch cooking styles like
Yeah,
in
so I
between
start-
or in between cooking?
Yeah, so you can start something on saute, and like the carnitas, you can sear up the pork, and then just hit cancel, close the lid, and then it should already have a little bit of heat built up inside and pressure, so it shouldn't take that long to come back up to pressure after you
Okay.
do that.
Cool. Cool. All right, it looks great.
Okay.
Fresh, healthy.
Yeah, and everything still, I like to add in the greens at the end so it stays nice and bright. You know, you eat with your eyes, so you want to see like vibrant colors in your food.
Do you have to wait for the pressure to be gone to open it, or?
Yeah, it won't let you. Like it's when that little valve thing is up, like you can try a bunch of times, it won't move. So here we just kind of toss the noodles together, And while it's cooling down, it'll keep cooking.
And so it's really suitable for like whether you're cooking for a family or for a single person.
Yeah.
So did it just click with you that you just like started using the Instant Pot and it worked from the start, or you usually have to like?
Oh, I had to figure it out. Like, it's a learning curve. I mean, with anything, you know, it's some fails, some burn notices as well. But yeah.
I tried a couple recipes, and then my chicken turned out rubbery, and it's become my favorite rice cooker. But like,
yeah, yes, the
it's
right,
my own
yeah.
rice cooker.
Yes.
I
I know, I do
was like,
rice
I
in
should
here
be using
only.
this for other stuff, but
Yeah.
damn it,
Are there any like definite do not do's?
Let's see. I mean, it can kind of do everything, but like, I have not attempted the yogurt setting. I know a lot of people love it, but it scares me. I'm like, we don't eat enough yogurt to kind of like do this whole thing full of yogurt. So,
Yeah. So there's a yogurt
Yes,
setting?
yes.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I don't think I'd be a fan of that one.
Let's see, add that in.
And then so these are just the last kind of add-ons. And then do you turn it back on or you just combine?
No,
those?
because this is still hot.
Hot.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna let them like naturally kind of.
Yeah, just kind of combine it and they'll wilt
Temperize
up
it.
a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Any other technical questions for Stephanie? I have a few other cheesy ones that I like to ask. So if you're having a dinner party, who are you going to bring over aside from me? And what would you cook? Not in the Instant Pot. Or in the Instant Pot.
Well, I would love to have Ina Garden over, but I don't think she would like the Instant Pot.
But if she didn't see it.
Yeah, if she didn't see it, I would like to have a meal and a drink with her. I think she's a fun
Okay.
time.
What would you cook for her?
Ooh, short ribs.
Short ribs?
Definitely short ribs.
Okay.
Some like the red wine braised short ribs. Yes.
Nice.
That's always my fancy meal. Around holidays, that's what we bring out.
Nice, sounds good. Okay, we'll all go to yours for the holidays then.
That's fine.
And so
Okay.
the other one just gave us a beep there, did it?
Yes, so this one's done now.
Okay.
Same deal.
So do you need to release the pressure, or are there recipes where you let it sit and sort of, the pressure release?
There are some where you naturally let the pressure release, and I think that's for oatmeal. Sometimes you can do that way, and then and rice also as well. And let's see, I just did farro in there, and it was the same. It was like 1 minute high pressure, and then like 10 minutes, just let it hang out. And that's what they mean by like natural release. Just don't touch it, let it sit there, and then after that, after 10 minutes, if the valve hasn't fallen down, then you can release the remaining. Okay. There we go. Okay.
All right. So while we're waiting for that one, where is your favorite place to eat in Chicago?
There's so many. Let's see. Right now, when I have people come in from out of town, I've been saying to go to Cruz Blanca.
Okay.
So I really like that. And
Just
I
around the corner.
Yeah, I like their beer too. They have really good beer selection. And then for like fancier, we do like Davanti Enoteca.
Okay.
That's in the Italian village over there.
Back to the Italian
yes.
preference.
It's like, exactly.
Mexican Italian.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And then this is a little bit of a silly question, but your dog's name is
Weezer.
Weezer.
Yeah, Weezer the
and
pug.
Weezer the pug. He features a lot, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
And is he named after the band Weezer?
Yeah, he is. He's Weezer, but also because pugs are with the like smushed in faces and they have snoring, breathing problems. So it works both.
Okay.
Describes him, and also when I was like 12 or something in like junior high girls' diary, I wrote like bulleted things that I want for my life achievements, and Weezer the pug was one of them.
Wow. Okay.
I did it.
Committed, ambitious. Yeah. All right.
Can I ask one
So-
more while
Yeah.
we're waiting? Sorry. So the manual also said that there's like a humidifier or something to capture.
Yeah.
I'm not using the right word.
So
yeah.
this in the back.
But I don't know if I accidentally threw it away. Do I need to have that?
I think like mine has rarely filled up. I mean, it'll just like, if there is extra moisture dripping on that little tray around it, it'll just drip down onto your counter or surface. So I would just keep a lookout for that. I don't think you really need it. Mine's never really, like, it's not like it's catching so much moisture.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so it switches automatically. There's a button on there, keep warm. So you don't, like for the eggs, I always make sure I turn that off because I don't want them hard boiled ever. So if you don't care, then sometimes like, it's not gonna hurt the soup. Yeah.
I have another question about cleaning it.
Uh-huh.
I've had, but the best way to clean the lid is always my challenge.
Yeah, I have a scrubber brush, and then I use the Barkeeper's Friend. It's like a little powder you sprinkle on, and it gets that, and then, or you can use a little bit of like a vinegar solution, gets rid of that smell. And the ring you can put in your dishwasher on the top shelf.
Do you ever take the little pressure thing off, or or one of those?
On this one, might be still a little bit hot, but this part comes off, so you can clean that. And then this one, I'm never taking that off. Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right.
And you can buy replacement rings too if it gets like a little funky. Sometimes the smells stick.
Oh, this looks great.
Okay, so let me just put that there.
So this one you said you remove the chicken?
Mm-hmm. So you take the chicken out.
So if you slice the chicken beforehand, the chicken would cook quicker, right?
Uh-huh.
But you could technically do that?
See, okay, so this is, oh my gosh. It's good, but so the chicken is falling apart in here after 10 minutes. And sometimes, like, if you don't want to end up with like rubbery chicken, you can use like thinner cutlets, or cut the meat into like fourths or something like that, just to kind of like make sure that it cooks through and gets nice and tender. So then you would shred this up and then just add it back to the pot, and it's good to go. Just, I do some extra lime, sour cream, cilantro, whatever you want to put on top. Radishes are good too.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
That's that.
Well, it looks delicious.
Thanks.
So thank you very much, Stephanie, for coming in. We've got some samples of the lo mein and the drunken chicken tortilla soup
Yes.
served just up at the other end of the cafe. We've also got Stephanie's book on sale today. Stephanie is also going to be around to answer any other technical or culinary questions that you might have. But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thanks,
great.
guys.